Today we've been looking at the tulip tree and other species in the Carolinian forest. The habitat requirements of the tulip tree include direct sunlight found on oaks, maples, and hickories, moderately deep, well-drained, loose textured soils. Moderation is key for this tree, and very few survive from very wet or very dry conditions. Soils need to be within the pH range of 4.5 to 7.5. Although the tulip tree poplar thrives in these ideal conditions, it is a very tough tree. Seeds need nutrients and mineral-rich soils with moderate moisture and enough sunlight. They will not tolerate shade. Predators of the tulip tree include the tulip tree aphid and parasitic wasp. The competition for the same resources are all the trees in the ecosystem. For example, the red cedar, butternut, wild crab, Kentucky coffee tree, butternut hickory tree, and many others. Birds, insects, fungus, squirrels live in the tulip tree, and its job in the ecosystem, or its niche, are the flowers provide nectar for birds which may pollinate the tree. The seedlings germinate rapidly and the tree grows quickly. So among the first trees to colonize wastelands, surprise shelter and food for a lot of species. This species occurs in the Carolinian forest, and it also occurs in Africa and southern U.S. If the ecosystem in this species were to die off, all the animals would feed off of it would have less food and more competition for resources. Some animals would be without shelter, and soil placement and amount and water temperatures could change. If there are many more individuals in the ecosystem wouldn't be able to sustain the tulip tree and all the other trees. The other trees would slowly die off because of lack of resources, which would cause all animals that use the tree to die off as well, and so are their prey. Value of the species to natural ecosystems: food for the wildlife, such as quails eat their seeds, as do finches, gray squirrels, rabbits, white-footed mice. Also, a lot of animals use the tulip tree for shelter, such as ones I mentioned above, for symbiosis. Value of the species to humans is that it's excellent ornamental because of its distinct flower, honey tree, so it has lots of nectar, its height, and their wood is great for canoes. Overexploitation is the overuse of a resource until the resource is greatly depleted. What's done in the Carolinian forest is that the trees are being overexploited, so the animals don't have enough shelter, so a lot die off, and some that use the trees for food are dying because they have nothing to eat. This is also occurring in the Amazon rainforest because they're clear cutting the trees in the forest as well as in the Carolinian forest. The humans are cutting down too many trees in the area for land use and for wood. The benefits are they can use the open space for development and use wood for furniture and other human uses, but the cost of the environment and the ecosystem is that there are enough trees to provide shelter to the animals that live in the area, and overexploitation of this area started when the Europeans immigrated here, and will end when there are no more trees left. The activity changing the ecosystem because there are less trees in the ecosystem. The animals are dying off because there aren't enough trees to provide shelter and food for the animals that need them. It changes the abiotic components of this ecosystem include water temperature because the areas that were once shaded are in direct sunlight, and soil loss and movement because the roots of the trees help keep the soil in place, but there are no trees there. The impacts will continue until the human activity ends. But after it ends, the impact will stop because the trees will slowly grow back, so the animals that once existed will be able to repopulate at the end, any individuals left of that particular species. A definition of stewardship is what humans can do to take care and preserve our natural resources. For example, by reducing our amount of resources we use, reusing items instead of throwing them out, and recycling what we do use. Restoration: trying to bring back or restore an ecosystem once an ecosystem has been damaged or extinct. An example: conservation. Things we do to conserve the Carolinian forest is land use, so deciding what areas of land can be developed, securing naturally key areas so it remains untouched, and public area agencies, non-profit conservation organizations such as land trusts are buying the lands to help preserve the Carolinian forest and prevent too many trees being cut down and space loss for development. Landowners wishing to donate ecologically significant land, conservation groups, Ministry of Natural Resources, and conservation authorities are also purchasing this land. They will know what they're doing is working because the species in the protected area will prosper and be restored because the land won't be used for other purposes and won't be able to damage the land in any way. I think this will work, or at least help, because the land will no longer be destroyed and those protected areas for human uses, so the species in that area will be able to prosper. It has worked in many provincial and national parks, which we know because after the project was undertaken, the biodiversity in those areas increased. There are some negative effects to this activity, such as the land that is protected isn't being used for other human uses, and it can be hard to raise enough money or get enough donations to buy the land. A cost of this activity is that the land and resources that are being protected aren't able to be used for human uses, and the benefit to the ecosystem is that there will be more trees and other resources for the animals. The value of the species to the natural ecosystem are they provide shelter for the animals and provide food for many animals. The value of the species to humans is that we can use these trees as wood, and they can help keep the air clean since they take in CO2 and exhale oxygen.